I believe business is going to be a key driver for social innovation and social change for the 21st century. I believe this because for the past 4 years, I've spent as a graduate student studying business, studying social entrepreneurship, as a business journalist, and as an entrepreneur myself. And in my experiences, I've realized that there's a phenomenon taking place. It has many names: social entrepreneurship, regenerative business, fourth sector business, corporate social responsibility. But really, at its essence, the idea is that businesses can use market-driven ideas and concepts to solve social and environmental problems. This is good thinking, but in reality, the world is complex, and oftentimes this is short-sighted. Businesses don't solve problems, they actually only change conditions. Take, for example, a recent trend in the kind of social good business world, which is called BOGO, buy one, give one, where someone in the States buys a pair of shoes and a kid in Nigeria gets a pair of shoes for free. It sounds great on paper, but this idea and this concept and business model breaks down when the local industries in Nigeria are hit hard by handouts from industrialized countries. However, I think we're moving in the right direction because what BOGO and what kind of business concepts like this are demonstrating is businesses' ability to think different. Now, there are two core principles to 21st century business that I see. The first one Apple does extremely well, and this is they know why they exist. There's an author by the name of Simon Sinek that talks about starting with why, that if businesses can understand why they exist, they can really galvanize people to support them. They're not selling a product or a service, they're selling a story. So Apple doesn't sell computers, they sell the story of think different. If you think different, you can imagine a new world, you can create a new world. We just happen to give you the computers, the iPads, the iPods, etc., that help you facilitate this. The second principle of 21st century business is the ability to come from a place of why and then deliver value to diverse stakeholders. So rather than the traditional customer and investor, how businesses are traditionally designed, it's important that we're looking at delivering value to the communities in which the businesses exist, to the earth, to the co-creators, the employees, to the culture around the communities, and maybe even to future generations. One person, one company that does this incredibly well is Ray Anderson. He founded a company called Interface in 1973 with the mission to create one of the best companies that sold carpets in the United States. Nothing sexy, just selling carpets. 20 years later, he led Interface to the top of the industry as far as selling carpets were concerned. In 1994, he read a book by Paul Hawken called The Ecology of Commerce, which talks about businesses' responsibility to restore social and environmental systems. Shortly after reading this book, Anderson was so moved that he realized that he had achieved the wrong mission. His mission wasn't about creating the best carpet industry, it was about making an impact in the world. So he actually redrafted the mission to be the first company that, by its deeds, shows the world what sustainability is in all its dimensions. And here we're looking at these integrated stakeholders, the people, process, product, place, and profit, and in doing so become restorative through the power of influence, doing just business the way that he knows it and the way that that company knows it. So, in the 10 years following, from 1994 to 2004, what happened? Well, they were able to reduce their waste by 99.7%. The factories were able to create a system where the water that comes out of their factories is drinkable. And in those 10 years following, they were able to increase their profit margins by $400 million. So why aren't we seeing more businesses that are operating like Interface? Well, I believe a large part of it has to do with our education system. I was talking with a colleague of mine last week who started a business that invests in entrepreneurs to grow their businesses. He started this 8 years ago, and in these past 8 years, he's had hundreds and hundreds of interviews with these entrepreneurs. And he asks them every time, what is the one thing standing between where you are with your business and where you'd like to be? Anyone have any ideas? Money is what I would think too. It's lack of good people, which is fascinating to me because when you look around, you hear all this about education and that there's high rates of unemployment. 54% of college graduates under the age of 25 are either unemployed or underemployed. So on one hand, you have all these businesses that are thirsty for good people, and on the other hand, you have these people that should be qualified. So I asked my colleague, what's going on? Like, what are you noticing in the business world? And he says that education has absolutely no correlation to being able to add value into businesses or into the world in general. Not to say that there's anything wrong or that it does anything bad, but it's not really cultivating the value within learners. So it makes sense on a lot of levels, right? I mean, it's like we're trying to create really great basketball players and we put them in a room with a TV and have them watch basketball for 4 years and then expect them to hit the court and play well. It's just not realistic. But I'm not really interested in what's wrong. Buckminster Fuller, design scientist and totally awesome dude, talks about if you want to change the system, don't fight against the way things are right now. Imagine a better system, a better model, and go create it. And that will make the old model obsolete. So that's what we did. We designed and are launching the MYCELIUM School. The MYCELIUM School is a 9-month residential program for 18 to 35-year-olds who are burning to make a difference in the world, cannot be limited by the confines of traditional education. They want to find their tribe. They want to develop the skills, the experience, and the connections to go out in the world and make things happen. So we're launching this program in July in Asheville, North Carolina. And rather than take the kind of traditional route when it comes to designing curriculum, which is bringing in some leading thinkers in the academic world, what we did instead was we talked to serial entrepreneurs. We talked to impact investors. We talked to leading thinkers and doers in the world of social change. We talked to innovators on the fringes of alternative education. And we came up with 7 core disciplines that the next generation of change agents needs to be fluent on. So the curriculum starts with a 2-month intensive on these 7 core disciplines. I'll go through them really quickly. The first one is self-awareness, understanding who we are and what makes us come alive. Living systems thinking, understanding that we exist in a complex system and everything is connected so we can learn how to affect entire systems. Complex adaptive leadership, learning how to lead with integrity in a rapidly changing context. Design science, which is a scientific method that can be applied to social systems to get from a current state to a preferred state. Social entrepreneurship, which is a powerful vehicle, a tool to drive social change. Network building, the ability to build the community of mentors, peers, and colleagues that we need to realize our dreams out in the world. And the last one is almost an effect, which is creating healthy systems. So this 2-month intensive is led by visiting instructors who are actually practitioners out in the world doing things on the edge of these different disciplines. And then we turn them loose. And I got to thank Dr. Steller. I don't know where he is, but he teed me up so well for this. So what we do is we really turn them loose out in the world. So over the course of the next 7 months, they are actually building a social venture, which is essentially an entrepreneurial initiative that's designed to add value to social and environmental systems while maintaining financial profitability. We do this, or we help them develop these ventures by giving them a learning budget of $45,000, which they can deploy any way that they want. However, we help them with that in a little bit by developing connections with over 50 leading thinkers and doers in totally diverse realms. We've built relationships with designers from Google's Innovation Lab, from Facebook, from best-selling authors to serial entrepreneurs to spiritual leaders, etc. So our participants actually reach out to these visiting instructors, contact them, negotiate their contracts, and then invite them to the MYCELIUM School. So the actual invitation of the learning is actually a big part of the learning in itself. Rather than having traditional teachers, what we do is we've brought on 2 full-time learning facilitators that help create a safe and dynamic learning environment to draw out the wisdom and help our participants build and develop as human beings. Our participants will also be meeting with personal coaches. They'll have their own personal coach to develop in social, emotional, psychological levels, because we're not building entrepreneurs, we're helping to cultivate human beings. And they also have an entrepreneurial coach whom they'll be meeting with every week to help them develop their social venture and bring it to life out in the world. At the end of these 9 months, our participants walk away with this deep and diverse network of connections of people that are actually going to help them bring their dreams to life out in the world. They walk away with hands-on lived social entrepreneurial experience. And more than anything, they walk away with a deeper understanding of who they are and why they're on this planet, and the confidence to go out in the world and bring their dreams to life. So there's obviously much more, but I only have 12 minutes and 4 seconds left. But if you want to find out more, you can check out mycelium.is or follow us on Twitter at MYCELIUM School. But really, at the end of the day, if we want to reimagine America, we want to reimagine the world, we need new stories. We need new models that are going to make the old models obsolete. The MYCELIUM School is designed to be an incubator for these stories. Thank you so much.